Not intend for it to become a children's home, but it by default became a children's home. It was going to be a home for girls to help girls learn a trade so they could make a living. Well, unfortunately, people just started dropping off kids, and by default, it became a children's home. And she just kept right on going. And Carmen and I were fortunate to be able to go over, and they had a ladies' day. You know how many ladies showed up from this community? 1,500. I mean, there were chairs everywhere. And that wasn't the first one. That was the second or third one that they had. But she is a phenomenal woman. She has adopted children of her own. She was telling us at dinner tonight that one of her girls runs a children's home in Austin, Texas. So following her mother's footsteps, and she's got them scattered all over the world, Canada, Texas, some back in Nigeria. But we'll let you tell you about Right Steps. And that's what I worked with them for several years on the board. And then when we were saying it tonight, when we moved off, went to Alabama, we kind of lost contact because our phone numbers, everything changed. And so, but we've been talking back and forth and checking in on them every now and then to make sure everything's still going. So, but we'll let you, G, come on up here. And we're going to start off with a prayer. Father, we thank you for bringing Chi to be with us tonight. Thank you for the work she does. We pray that you'll bless her and her family as they seek to make a difference in people's lives. Watch over all of us, Father. May we always glorify you with the things that we do and say. So in your Son's name we pray together. Amen. All right, you can go over there and hold this.
Good evening, church. I bring you greetings from my 34 children. I bring you greetings from my village. And I bring you greetings for the churches of Christ that meet in our village. Thank you for inviting me to your fellowship tonight. Over the years, as I have had the privilege of visiting congregations of the Lord's Church, of visiting brothers and sisters around the United States and other parts of the world, it often hits me just how important fellowship is. I don't know that we could really do our Christian race, our Christian journey, if we did not have fellowship one with another. Because as people on this journey, sometimes we grow weary. Sometimes we are discouraged. Sometimes we struggle. But with the presence of one another in a fellowship like you're having tonight, we support one another. We encourage one another so that the journey we are on is a little easier. Like Mike rightly pointed out, I've known Mike for as long as we have had Rice Steps and Sussan homes. And that is because when I was here, I worked for Georgia Agape. You may have heard of Georgia Agape. And I was their case worker for their children that they were fostering at that point. I arrived the shores of the United States in February of 1988. So 38 years ago, this February, I have been coming and going from America. I arrived here that February 1988 because my husband was here. He was going to school here, and I was in Nigeria until my immigration papers were ready, and I came over to join him. But sadly, unfortunately so, by the time I got here, he was a different man. He was somebody that I didn't know. And I went through that struggle, through that heartache. But when I was leaving home, my father was a Church of Christ preacher in Nigeria. And there was a church in Florida that he was in touch with. I think they helped with the church in Nigeria. So as I was leaving home, he gave me a piece of paper. Now I know what that piece of paper was. It was a church bulletin from the church in Florida. He gave it to me and he said, when you are in America, if you need help, call this church, call these people. So when I got here that year and I started having trouble, I called the church in Florida. I had no idea where Florida was. Didn't realize it was very far from Georgia. So I called the church and they said, we're so sorry. We are in Florida. You may need to call somebody in Georgia. So I called the next, remember when we had the yellow books? I think it's what they were called. The yellow pages. So the next church I saw was Embry Hills, which is somewhere Tucker area. I think, no, well, somewhere there. I called them. They couldn't help me. The next church was Chestnut Drive Church of Christ. So I called the Chestnut Drive Church, and Brother Mac of the blessed memory said, okay, we come get you tomorrow. So they picked me up that Sunday. I went to church at Chestnut Drive, and my case at my home kept escalating. It kept getting more and more difficult to live and to function. So I spoke to the minister at that church, who was John Tracy. Some of you here may have heard of John Tracy. So I told John Tracy the difficulties I was going through. And he was like, if you need help, just let me know. So 9 months later, I went back to him. I said, I need help. I think I need to get out from this house before I will become a statistic. Please help me get out. And John did. And that's how Mike knows my American mom and dad. So I went to live with Jane and Sue Blackwell. Jane was an elder at that Chestnut Drive church. So later on, I returned to Nigeria. But as we say, you leave, no coming back. So when I got back to Nigeria, I realized I had left and somebody else had taken my place. I couldn't get back my job. And in Nigeria, it's a stigma to be divorced or to leave your husband. It's just not the same. I could never get back to what I was. So I returned to America. My brother paid my school fees, and I returned to Georgia State University first. I returned to Georgia State University and started going to school there, and I got a master's degree there in school counseling. I was a teacher in Nigeria. Trust me, I was an English teacher. I know I don't sound like that, but I was an English teacher. And when I came to America, I took an exam that gave me what is known as Georgia T4. So I have a license to teach English in America. Think about that. But I never did teach. I got a master's degree in school counseling. But at this point, I had started working for Georgia Agape. And that gave me other ideas. Growing up in Nigeria, you see women on the street with children in their arms begging. You find children young enough to be in school, they will all be begging on the street. And when I was about 13 years old, I went to a boarding school. Nigeria used to be a British colony. So boarding schools are big and important. It wasn't like a reform place. It was where you go to get good education. So I left home at 13 and I went to this girls boarding school, I meant to say. And while I was at that school, I saw a beggar woman for the first time. She wasn't just begging, she was insane. But she had a baby in her arms. And this baby boy was as filthy as you can imagine, because I imagine he never had a bath in his life. So it bothered me. I will always look at the child and wonder why somebody didn't take that baby. Why were we allowing an insane woman to raise a baby? It bothered me. For some strange reason, the woman didn't bother me. I kind of thought, she's lost her mind, she's lost her mind, but somebody should help the baby. But I couldn't do anything about it. These days, when you do some things, people will ask, how did you get a vision for this? How did your ministry start? I don't know that I had a vision. All I know is that some things just didn't seem right to me. For example, I think it's Michael Carmen wanted me to tell my shoe story tonight. And I'm going to tell you my shoe story and try to get it into other things. Remember back then, I didn't think of this, but as I have lived my life and done this work, things have kind of come together that made me, oh, that's really who I am. So, growing up in my village, we didn't have shoes to go to school. We went to school without shoes, just barefoot. We went to school. But I had cousins who lived in the city. Their father worked for the railway, and their mother was a school teacher. So they would come home at Christmas or at holidays, and they had shoes on with socks. Now when I think of it, they just had a pair of sandals with socks, and boy, did I want that. I wanted what they had so much. Now I don't recall their clothes, but I remember their shoes, and I wanted. To me, at that point, it looks like putting on a pair of shoes was the epitome of living high and living the good life. So I wanted the shoes so much. So that year, I think I may have bothered my father, my parents so much about buying me shoes that my dad finally said, okay, I'm going to go to the city today and I'll buy you your own pair of shoes. You can imagine. I dashed into the lodger compound and I told the rest of the children. They're like, liar. You can't have shoes. I said, I swear, my father has gone to a. They followed me. Oh, by the way, I'm the last of 10 children, so you can imagine. My eldest brother was 24 years older than I was, but they're almost all gone now. There's just the 3 of us remaining. So they come and ask my sister, my older sister. She said, yeah, she's getting her shoe today. Well, now, all of us are like, hey, you have to practice how to wear shoe. You can't just get shoe and wear it. And so now I'm thinking, okay, the only people we saw wearing shoes were school teachers. And chances are they wore heels, because all of that day we walked on our tippy toes. So we would look like the teachers. All day we practiced. The shoe hasn't arrived, if you know what I'm talking about. My father will ride his bicycle. The nearest city was 10 miles away. So he rode his bicycle to town and he's going to come back. So he comes back in the evening and lo and behold, he has my shoe, my pair of shoe. I don't have words to explain to you what that meant, but it meant the world to me. So everybody's trying on this pair of shoes. We're talking about like 30 children or more. Everybody's putting their foot in the shoe and trying it. So finally, it's getting late. And I said, okay, may I have my shoe now? And you know how you crestfallen. I could see their faces just go. So I said, is it a clicker or, yeah, there's something like that, right? So at this one, I look at them and it broke my heart. So I said, don't worry. Just don't worry. When I grow up, I'll buy shoes for all of you. It's been 60 years. And boy, have I bought shoes, you bet. have I bought shoes. But incidentally, it's not for my playmates of 60 years ago. Now it's for their children and grandchildren, because unfortunately so, many children have continued to go without shoes. So it becomes like symbolic of the work that I'm doing today. But it has grown to include clothes, to include food, to include shelter, to include actually education at a higher level. So while I worked for Georgia Agape, my mind kept, oh, there could be organized benevolence. In third world countries, people just toss money to the poor, or toss bread, or something they want to give them, they just throw it to them or hand it to them. So while working for Georgia Agape, wait a minute. Benevolence could be organized, intentional, and channeled towards something for the long run, for long term, not just immediate bread right now. And so with that, my mind started working towards doing organized benevolence, which September this year we would have done for 28 years. But at first, remember the woman I saw when I was 13 who had a baby boy that was so filthy? Remember that? So my target population, what I wanted to do was take these women that begged on the streets with children, take them away, clean them up, teach them a trade, get a place for them, rehabilitate them. That's what I returned to Nigeria in 1988. Now, 1998, 10 years after I arrived the first time. This now was in 1998. And like Mike said, he stepped out in faith and he followed me into the unknown. Yes, he did. And he has remained a great mentor and served on the board for as long as he did. So from 1998, we had just one building, and we started with 3 mothers and 7 children between them. And eventually, like 10 years later, maybe 5, I think it was 5, not 10, the village knew we were there. Many women die in childbirth and still die as you and I speak. So a woman will be having a baby, usually not in a health center, not in a hospital. Sometimes some places we call prayer houses. And when you're having a baby in a prayer house, the least complication, this woman could bleed to death. And when that happens, they'll bring the babies to Sussan arms. So by default, without meaning to do that, over the last 20 years, we became a children's home. We still help mothers who are struggling. We still help them to find their feet, help them put their children in school, and just help them as much as we can. But you can't be in the program for more than 2 years. We will resettle you on your own. But the children have continued to come. So much so that today we also have what we call an independent living component, a program by where we emancipate children who turn 20, 18 or 20. Either you had an education. We were talking about, I have a son that was named for Mike. They just asked me, I said, oh, small Mike is a geologist today. And true small Mike is a geologist. We have had children that grew up in the home, computer scientists, school teachers, nurses. We even got a medical doctor last year. It is the power of collaboration. What Christians can do when we come together, when we join our hands. So we have today in residence, we have 34 children. We usually have children at different stages. Like I have an 8-month baby, and I have those who are 4, 7, 10, 20, unless you have been emancipated. But even those who have been emancipated, those who are now on their own, they are free to return at Christmas, at Easter, during holidays, because Susanna Homes is the only home some of these children have. Some of them were picked up from the street or from the bushes around because they have a disability. Many, I have 4 of them. Miriam is mute. She's deaf. She's blind. I don't blame her mother for abandoning her because I don't know where she was coming from. I don't know what her journey was like, but Miriam needed a place, and the police brought her to us in 2001. She's a grown woman now. Is she? She's a grown woman, but she will never be a grown woman. She's like a child. She's never received instruction in her entire life. Mona, I believe, has cerebral palsy, maybe autism, maybe something else, all kinds of things mixed in there. Mona came to us in 1999, and she probably was 1 or 2 when they found her and brought her to us. Grant was adopted by a woman who couldn't conceive for 15 years. So she goes and she adopts Grant. She brings Grant home. After about 6 months, she realized Grant had a problem. I think he has brain damage. He doesn't talk. I think he hears some, because when I call his name, he will kind of like smile. So I think he has some hearing. But anyway, this mother, after 6 months, realizes Grant has a problem. She went back to fertility treatment, and she died on the operating table. Now she leaves a 9-month-old boy who nobody wants, not even her husband. So her husband brought Grant to us, but just told me his wife died in childbirth. Because that's one, is either your wife is dead, the child's mother is dead, or like some women would have a baby and then go into postpartum depression. They tend to lose their mind. So if your wife or family member is in that position, we will take your baby and raise for you. But other people, because if we allow them, everybody will bring their child for us to raise. But so we have to have this criteria to qualify. So Grant qualified, but then when I heard his story, this woman who adopted him dying, so we took him in, and Grant is 14 years old today. He walks some, but most of the time he crawls. So over the last 28 years, we've gotten to where we don't just have the orphanage. Today we also have a Bible college on the premises. There is also like a VOTEC institution approved by the government. Because if you've been to any of the third world countries, you realize that sometimes congregations are just small, just too small to support a minister. And the diploma that preachers of the churches of Christ, how we used to have the 2-year Bible diploma here, which I don't know if it's phased out. That's where we are today. That diploma is not acceptable to anybody else. The government doesn't accept it. It's only within the churches of Christ that that diploma is acceptable. So over the years, myself and those who work on our ministry thought, if we could add a trade certificate approved by the government of Nigeria to this 2-year Bible college diploma, our young men will be better able to get a good job. They'll be better able to, because in a way, if you look at it, strong members make strong churches. When the members are not able to support the church or the congregation, such congregations suffer. So today we have two campuses. The old campus that started in 1998, and one we got just this last year. Anybody here knows about something called oil bunkering? Oil bunkering. Oil bunkering is illegal refinery. When criminals break oil pipes, steal the crude oil, and start refining it themselves. It moved into our neighborhood, just right behind Sussan homes. For 3 years, we didn't know what was going on, but there was soot everywhere, settling on clothes, making you dirty. The children were getting sick, so eventually we caught on, oh, is this illegal oil refinery? So 4 years ago, we ran away from home. We had to move, especially the youngest children, to the nearest city. And we were there for 3.5 years. But just this last year, 2025, God blessed us. And we got a new place where the younger children are now. But the older children are still on campus one. The illegal oil refineries will catch fire and burn an entire village. Sometimes hundreds of people will burn in this fire. So we were afraid. I was afraid. If there's a fire outbreak, what do I do with the children? And that was the main reason why we moved. And even when it has sort of died down, we found it difficult to return there because the environment is still toxic. Plus, a China company also moved into town. Into the village, actually. They moved into the village, and now you cannot leave anything that has a metal in it. You cannot leave it outside. If you do, it's stolen. It's stolen and gone to Chinatown to sell. So there's some kind of a lucrative business for criminals. You may want to hear this. Just 3 months ago, a thief climbed our roof to remove the zinc that he can sell at China. Then he stepped on the ceiling and broke it and fell through to the house, fell through inside the house. And we caught him. We caught him. So, but the rest of it's just some of the difficulties of living and working in a place like Nigeria. We brought in the police, and the police took him. But the police was taking money from us, wanted us to pay them money. And I said, well, we don't have that kind of money to give to you. Guess what happened? The chief of police put the thief in his vehicle and brought him back to Sussan house. He brought a thief back to Sussan homes with children on the premises. Many people here in the States, you meet Nigerians everywhere, especially like in the medical field. There are so many Nigerians here. They should be in Nigeria and make life easier and use their skills and their knowledge. But they are not there. They are here. Those who have remained at home, the government is just as shaky as can be. We joke about what we have is a group of people that decide who gets the oil money. Nothing else. Nothing is done. Refuse is not collected. It's just like that. So it's been a difficult 28 years, but God has been gracious. The God of provisions has continued to provide and supply our needs. Sometimes it looks like our needs are endless. They are not. It's just that there's so many people that depend on it. We have a widows program. A friend of mine visits Nigeria once a year. She used to be in Kentucky, but she's now in Missouri. She's a nurse practitioner, Bob's wife. She's been coming to Nigeria for the last 26 years. When she comes, she helps us do medical missions. We go further into the rural areas. So one year, she's there. There are all these older women that look like they're about to die. And she's sitting there attending to them. Sometimes I run my mouth when I shouldn't. And so I'm walking by looking at her with this group of women. So I just say, okay, if these your patients had food, they wouldn't need medication. She put her stethoscope down. She looks at me and she goes, Chi, you're right. They are really not sick. They are underfed and they're hungry. And my head goes, okay, now I've gotten myself into another trouble. Because the board will always say, Chi, now don't go getting another project. Don't go getting something else you want to do. And I'm like, trust me, I don't go looking for what to do. They come to me. And many a times I have no choice but to help. So Kay says that. And then she said, tell me, how much will it take to feed these women every day? And I'm like, okay, please, I have enough already. But she wouldn't give up. As she was living on that strip, I think she emptied her pocket. She said, Chi, here's some money. Please feed this group of women on a daily basis. When I get home, I'll send you more. And she did. And so for 15 years, we have had a widows program. And they are not really that old. Probably 70, at most 75. But in Nigeria, if you've lost your husband, outlived your children, because for you to get to 70-something, when the lifespan is like 45, chances are you've outlived your children. You have no social security. You have no pension. You have absolutely nothing. So you become destitute. And the way things go, people don't always like to help. So this particular group of women that were coming to church, they were members of our Church of Christ on the premises. So we studied every Sunday evening. When they would get there, we'll pack a bag for them. And when they are leaving, we give them, rice, beans, bouillon cubes, just stuff like that. And maybe we put equivalent of $1 in this bag. We will go to check on them Tuesday and Wednesday, find out they've not cooked the food because they can't get out of bed. They are sick. So then we started something else known as home health care. Now when we take the food to them, we take the nurse who will check their blood pressure, check their sugar level, do all of that, and we place them on blood pressure medication and tell them how to take it. But sometimes you go back, the blood pressure is through the roof because they have not remembered to take the medication. So we were thinking our next stop will be just go there every day. We have 7 this last year. By the end of this year, we will lose like 1, maybe 2 of them. So we lose them every year. Since they don't come to church anymore because people walk to church, Beth and I were talking about, people will walk a mile 2 to come to church. So what we decided was go read the Bible to them every Friday. When our staff don't have other things to do, we have the outreach minister and his wife take the Bible to their homes with tea. And in Nigeria, tea is anything that is hot that you can drink. It's not just tea. Could be hot chocolate, but anything that is warm, hot is tea. So we will take tea in We call it flask. What is it called? You know what a flask is? Thermos. Thank you. I always forget. Thermos. We make the tea and put it in this thermos and take some biscuit. No, not really. Not biscuit here. I guess it would be equivalent of a cracker or maybe cookie. Yes, yes. We will take that. We sit down with them. We open the particular scripture we are using for that day. We'll read it in Igbo to their hearing. Igbo is our language. If you come from Southeast Nigeria, we will read it to their hearing. But we decide not to preach to them, not to interpret it. Just let them hear what God is saying. It's a way of encouraging them. Then on Sunday afternoons after services, the preacher will go to them and offer them communion. Sometimes, most times, they die. And when they die, somebody from there will come and say, hey, that woman you're helping is dead. And I know exactly what they're talking about. They want us to come and bury this woman. And we will. We always have. Majority of these people live in a mud house. When the rains are really heavy, this, if you can call that a house, but maybe like a hut, will crumble and just disintegrate. We've also had to build a small place, again, not a house, like a 12 by 12 kind of square, so that they can stay in it. Some lady, Mama Helen, we moved her in on a Friday. The next Saturday, she died. Somebody says she was waiting to get into that house and know that she was in her own place. So that, and we also, it's just grown and grown and grown, but it's not a burden. I hear the Lord directing us. Sometimes it's something for example, we have a church in the village that is known as the Vitamin Church. Hosts anywhere from 70 to 100 children every Sunday and every Thursday. How did we get a church to be called Vitamin Church? Several years ago, there's a brother in Kentucky, I think he works with a pharmaceutical company. He sent us all this multivitamin. You know, the ones that have shapes and different colors. The children there don't know it's medication. They call it sweet. And so he brought so much of it. I'm looking at it and saying, this is going to expire. There's no way we can finish this. So we decided to, every Sunday, give it to children that come to church. And then we decided to add the school children, just so this vitamin doesn't go bad. Well, we keep doing that. We realize Sunday mornings, many of these children are so weak, they are so hungry, because they've walked 2 miles to church, and they're going to walk back another 2 miles. So we decided to add something to the multivitamin. So we added a cup of milk. And we added soya beans cake. You do not use soya beans that way here, but we make like a cake, a paste out of it. Now we are thinking about nutrition. Under a program we call Better Life for Rural Children. Well, guess what happens? Church explodes. There are children everywhere. Their parents are not there, but they just come. Some people say, well, they're coming because you're giving them this ration. You know, I thought about it, and I said, well, Jesus knew people were coming to him for food, but he still fed them anyway and still talked to them. Why not? Let them come. So we have those children on Sunday mornings, but we thought, you know, if we could teach them the Bible twice a week with the same ration. So now we do the ration twice a week. We do it on Saturday and we do it on Thursday evenings. But the one on Thursday evening is called Feed My Flock. But the one on Sunday, we didn't name it Vitamin Church. It's the village people. They say, oh, that church, that Vitamin Church, that place where children go to take vitamins. The children love it. They have thrived. Truly, if you walk into a village, you can pretty much tell those who come to church. Some parents are also curious. Some parents of these children, they come. Sometimes we get like a preacher say, just focus on these children. Chances are, 10, 15 years from today, maybe one, even if it's just one of them, may remember, may stay in Christ, and also help others. We have a grade school that goes from nursery school to 12th grade. We do well in the external exams because we really teach. Teachers there don't really teach if you work for the government. Sometimes because government doesn't pay them. So if you don't pay them, I don't know why we expect them to teach. But God has been good, has been kind, has been gracious to us. Whatever we have, we pay our teachers. We do agriculture. It's a little scary to watch your bank account and see whether you have received money or not. It's a little scary. So over many years ago, we thought, even if we don't receive any money, we ought to be able to feed ourselves. And that we've done. 2 days ago, of course, I've been here. 2 days ago, we sold our chicken that we put in for Easter, but they matured a little faster. And we're thinking if we keep them till Easter, all the gain is going to go in the chicken feed. And so we sold off the whole thing. But we have other chickens that are not matured. We process oil, palm oil. Anybody here seen palm oil before? It's a red oil. Actually, you get two kinds of oil from palm fruit. You get the red oil and you get the palm kernel oil. Sometimes if you look at some food, these are ingredients in that. So we have agriculture. Our children learn, they get skills before they graduate. The women that come to us also. Actually, our agriculture started as rehabilitation for the street mothers. We started teaching them that. We teach them hygiene. They hear the gospel anew. And they tell us, I want to go back to this city or this city. So when they say that we go to that city, we see if there's a Church of Christ. If there is, we speak to the minister and say, look, we're bringing this woman. She's been in our program, but she's going to be here. We're encouraging her to place membership with you. Please, would you keep an eye on her? And after that, we hands off. Somebody was asking me if I had something to show today that I said I had. I said, yeah, I thought better of that. I decided I'm not going to show anything. If I don't show you the pictures, you can invite me back next year, just so I can show you the pictures. But I know this is a Wednesday Bible class, and I don't want to take any more time than I should. But just thank you for letting me come speak to you. The work is ongoing. Ask anybody. If you're able to do anything in Nigeria for 10 years, you deserve an award. But we have done it for 38 years. It hasn't been easy. But I have many here that hold up my arm. What I know now? Is that again? Okay. It's okay. I wouldn't move again. I was going to say 3 weeks before I left home, this young woman, maybe late 20s, early 30s, shows up at Sussan homes with a baby in her arms. She shows up and she says, I want you to take my baby and give me money. And so the administrator for Campus 1 calls me and says, Mama, there's this woman here with a malnourished baby, very malnourished. The woman herself malnourished. Some church outside found her sleeping on their church corridor. And they decided to help her. To help her, they brought her to Susanna Homes. She said, Mama, they look very sick. But she says we should take the baby and give her money. And I said, well, tell her we don't do that. We're not going to do that. But if she needs help, we'll help her. We'll give her a job. We have a job to give to her. She can live here with us. She can earn an income, and she can raise her child herself. She doesn't need to give her child away. So I said, if she wants to stay, please give her one room in the Gisman quarters. We have this place we call Gisman. So give her a room in the Gisman quarters. Find out what she can do. Well, she wouldn't stop. She wakes up every morning. She said, take this baby. And then she started threatening us. If you don't take this baby, I will leave the baby with you. And I thought, she could hurt this baby. So I said, okay, slow me. Let her fill the placement form that she's placing this baby in our care, not under any duress. She does. And the younger children, the babies, are at Campus 2. So I say, bring this baby to Campus 2. But what we normally do when we get babies, we have to screen them for tuberculosis, for HIV, for anything like that. So I said, the same with this baby, because this baby is 8 months old. It's not a young child. But he looks like he's a day old. He's so hungry, we thought. So we take him to screen, and boom, he's HIV positive. Which at this point doesn't necessarily mean he is. Medically, they say it could be a false positive. Well, all it tells us at this point is that the birth mother is HIV positive. So the doctor that said, bring him back when he's a year old. We will test him again, and if he is, then he is, or he may not be. It could just be the mother's antibodies that are in the baby. So I said, okay, so she knew. She probably knew, and she lied to us. So I sent for her. She kept saying, you lied to us. You knew this was what you're running away from. You want to abandon your child and run. So I said, you need to go for screening. I wanted her to do that so that it's on record, that we have evidence, and then they'll place our medication. The medication is free. So we take her, they screen her, of course she is, and they give her medication. She returns to the house. We wake up the next day, and she's gone. She's gone. We don't know where she's gone to. We don't know who she is, just like that. So now we are left with an 8-month-old baby boy that is HIV positive. It sort of brings a new phase into our work. I didn't make plans that I was going to be raising a baby that is HIV positive. But he has come. I can't throw him away. We have to engage a nurse now to say, you keep him away from the rest of the children. You bathe him, you feed him, and I guess unless he has an open wound somewhere, he's not such a risk to keep. So we keep him. Somebody outside my head, when did you start doing AIDS children? No, we didn't just start doing it. Children, it came to us. So sometimes many of the things we do to meet a specific need. We do to serve a need that has arisen either within or outside. It's been wonderful, but it's also been difficult. Would I do this again if I had a chance? You bet. I would do it again. Many children are alive today because Susanna Homes and Rice Steps exist. Many children are useful, functional Christian adults today because Susanna Homes exists. So thank you for tonight, for listening to me. And I'm going to stop right now in case you have questions, and I'll be glad to answer your questions. Thank you. Yes, sir.
So, recently there's been a lot of news about Christian persecution in Nigeria, and I'm just wondering from your perspective, is the media actually covering that, or maybe is the problem much more severe than what's being reported?
That problem has been there for years. It's in northern Nigeria. We are in southern Nigeria. Actually, if you see a southern Nigerian Christian, doff your hat for him or her. They go through so much. They go to church on Sunday morning, not sure that they will return. Whole church buildings, like here, locked up and set on fire. And people stand outside to slaughter them. But our media, the local media, doesn't cover it. It doesn't let the world know what we're going through there. But it's true. It's not exactly where we are, it's in northern Nigeria. So I have a lot of respect for Christians in northern Nigeria. Christians of all shades across the board, they really do suffer. Christianity, as we know, is an evangelistic religion. We go out to make disciples. Our opponents don't do that. You are born into it or they kidnap you. Oh, I have a 3-year-old baby boy, just so you know, in line with your question. His mother, 14-year-old, was in a boarding school in northern Nigeria when the group known as Boko Haram, have you heard of Boko Haram? Boko Haram, I think, is Arabic for no Western education, something like that. Boko Haram storms the boarding house and removes 150 of them girls. Boko Haram thinks, or they want to, their agenda is to, flood Nigeria with their children. So they take this 14-year-old, they rape them repeatedly. By the time the ransom was paid, the negotiation completed, she came home, she was already pregnant. Her parents are Igbos. They're from southern Nigeria, where we are. I mean, they're brokenhearted, they're traumatized, they're stigmatized. That a Boko Haram raped your child and now you have a... So I think somebody told him about Susanna Homes, where we are. They brought Perry to us. Perry has been with us now for 2 years. Good-looking boy, adorable, very precious. But the grandparents are afraid to raise him in northern Nigeria because if the truth be known physically, he looks just like them. So I can see that fear in them. So yes, there's a problem, but there has always been a problem. But it's kind of heightened in this age and time. I'm not sure why it appears to be more now than it was before, but yes, it's serious and many people are being killed. Entire villages in northern Nigeria set ablaze. It is sad to say the least. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. I didn't hear you. Food. Ooh. You say food, right? Tell your mommy to invite me to your house and I'll cook fufu for you. You ever had fufu? Delicious. You have to swallow it. You put it in your soup and you swallow it. But we have lots of plantains. Do you know what plantain is? You ever had plantain? We have lots of bananas, lots of pineapples, avocado pear. We have yam. Actually, we grow our own yam. It's beautiful. Yeah, thank you for asking. Yeah, yes, sir.
From hearing you speak about the situation in Nigeria, there's an overwhelming need. Where I've been, I was a missionary for 12 years in Latin America. What I always observe is that the need is many, many times greater than the resources that we can use. So, how do you keep yourself encouraged and not become discouraged with such overwhelming things surrounding you?
Yeah. My brother, I am discouraged a lot. Sometimes it's like, for 30 years, I've been on a survival mode. There's always something to do. However, like I said, I have many people around the world that hold up my arms. I come here once a year. I was at a Bible class yesterday, like a women's fellowship. The minute I stepped in there, I was so happy. It was women, it wasn't children. Many a times it gets lonely. I was laughing about, hey, I'm not the oldest person here right now. There are people older than me. But when I'm in Nigeria, I walk into a room, I'm the oldest one. And so things like that, I come here, it's like I rejuvenate. And then groups come. People who have known me for many years, even though you have warnings, don't go to Nigeria, but God has been good. We've never had a problem. So people will come once a year, twice a year, and spend a week, sometimes 2, with us. So I draw my courage, my inspiration from that, and from people just saying, gee, you're doing such a great job. Usually I say, when somebody said that to me, I say, oh, you need to see the army behind me. There are many. There are many prayers every day. Cards just saying, Chi, how are you doing? These days of Facebook. These days of Facebook, of WhatsApp. I haven't graduated to TikTok. I'm still a little, but maybe someday I will graduate to TikTok. Right now I have mastered WhatsApp, which is very popular outside of the United States. So people send messages, anything that is going on. Like he just asked, when people hear in the news that there is trouble in Nigeria, they will contact me immediately and say, are you okay? Okay, but you know, here you have a budget, you can have a budget and you stick to that budget, don't you? Yeah, I can't have a budget. I want to go to bed. Mama, so in the village is having a baby. Nobody to take her to the hospital. I have to go. Mama, Sister Patient's house has just fallen. It's difficult to articulate all this and say I want a budget for this because you're never going to know. There's always an emergency. But I'm not complaining. That's just what life is there. Like that. Maybe we will grow someday. I'm optimistic and I have that hope things will change. It may take time. I believe my children, all of them, think about 400 children in 30 years. I believe they will make a difference when it's their turn. They are making it already. Besides, I have a son who wants to be a soccer player. So one day, don't be surprised to see me in the news that my son is a star, is a what's the other word? Is a celebrity, okay? So yes, my brother, it is overwhelming, it's discouraging, but I look up to God. I don't believe I'm there by my own design. I think I'm doing exactly what God had purposed for me to do. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
He was asking about, oh, I'm loud enough without one. Oh, okay. What's some of the maybe like physical needs that your house would need, like maybe some physical items that could be collected and sent? What, like, I'm trying to get the right wording for it, but
Transportation is always a problem. We have a saying in Nigeria, if you buy a brand new car and one day the mechanic touches it, goodbye. That's the end of that car. From then on, I don't know what they do. Do you get what I'm saying? I bought this brand new car today, and maybe after 6 months, like all cars, something may stall or bad, and I call a mechanic. Not just a car, whatever it is. Once we joked that once a Nigerian mechanic touches something, it's gone. Nothing will never work again. So cars, transportation is constantly a problem. The roads are bad, they're terrible. Even if you have a brand new vehicle, before you know it is gone. So transportation is an issue. Since I've been here, 2 weeks, diesel has gone from 890 naira to 1,800 naira. It doesn't matter what we got for budget for this month, it's gone. It's gone. I got a message today, we need diesel for this amount. I said, we exhausted our funds for diesel. You have to do anything you can to stay, but it's hard to try to bathe 15, 20 children at night with a flashlight between your teeth. It's not easy to bathe them, feed them when there's no electricity. The city electricity is never on. It is not, but you pay, but it's never on. So to say, yeah, transportation, catching, I don't know the word to use, but making up budgets. Like we got budget for diesel for 890 naira. Now we're paying 1,700 for it. It's never enough. That's the sad thing. But I'm not complaining. God is good. We always find a way to survive, and we've done this for 28 years. Okay, so, but we are lucky in a lot of ways. There's a group of women somewhere in Hendersonville. I think that would be in Tennessee, right? So Hendersonville, there's a church there where the women on Tuesday mornings, when they have their class, they make it a sewing class, and they sew clothes. They sew dresses for my children. My children are some of the best dressed children in the country because we get these dresses, beautiful, well made from Henderson. I don't want to say, I think it's Hendersonville. I think I'm right. Hendersonville in Tennessee. So things like that. People will, over Christmas, we got a box of J-Lo. You know what J-Lo is? The squiggly stuff. Suzette, we got like 2 boxes of J-Lo. It won't seem like much to children here, but boy, as my American friends will say, we're in hog heaven. They actually ask for this stuff in the morning for breakfast, and I no, I am not feeding you J-Lo to go to school. Your teachers will sue me. So yeah, some of the, if I bring home clothes and shoes, they're like, but I pull out candy, woo! Or I pull out cookies. We have our cookie auntie in the church in Atlanta, the Beaufort Church. She bakes cookies here, real American cookies. My children just call it American cookies. So she bakes cookies, she sends it. I mean, it doesn't last a whole lot, but it makes the children happy temporarily until it's gone. I don't know. Yeah, imagine sending, when I saw the box, it was in the box of something else. It wasn't in a Jell-O box. I think it was like a diaper box. I said, why is Suzette sending us diapers all the way from America? And we opened it. At first, I didn't know what it was. I thought, Jell-O. But the amount of joy you brought the children, I think, why didn't I think of this all these years? I've been coming and going. So now on birthdays, we eat Jell-O. But it will soon be gone. Yeah, so if you want to send us J-Lo, we'll be thankful for that. It's for the children. They don't care if they have clothes or don't have clothes, if they have books or don't have books. There are certain things that appeal to them. And so every now and then, I welcome stuff like that. Yeah, candy, the vitamin I told you about, they still don't know it's medication. It's still sweet, but we put it in your mouth. They bring it out and they lick it. They can say, leave it in your mouth. Huh? Yes. But we got toothbrush too. Toothbrush and toothpaste. Okay, you're referring to the past.
We thank you, Chief, for coming.
Thank you, Uncle Mike. Thank you so much.
It's amazing the things that.
Hey, Mike, got a question.
Got a question.
Yes,
Oh,
sir.
got a question.
How'd you learn English?
How did I learn English? Good question. Nigeria used to be a British colony. So English was taught in school. You will speak your native language, and at the same time, you learn English. Did you understand the things I said? So in other words, you can understand my English, right? Thank you. You're a sweet child. Thank you. Yes, how did I learn English? Yeah, I learned in Nigeria. Oh, in Nigeria, when I walk into the store and say something, everybody turns around. They're looking at me like, what is going on? And they say, oh, that English woman is here. I said, go figure. You think I have an accent? American accent. Come to Nigeria. It never fails. I walk into a bank and I say something, everybody turns around, what did I just do? So apparently over the years, maybe I've picked up something to them that sounds American. So I can win. When I come here, I have an accent. I go back home, I have an accent. Can win.
It follows you around.
It follows me around.
Thank you, Chief.
You're welcome, my brother.
Let me give you a few announcements before we close out tonight. Thank you. All right. This Sunday, coming up, there's going to be a combined special worship at 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock. Different time than normal, but 10 o'clock. During that time, we'll have our annual corporate meeting that we are required to have because the state says we have to. After that, there'll be a potluck for everybody, okay? Chicken, rolls, and tea will be provided, so you need to bring sides, salads, and desserts. So be here for that. It'll be a good time to find out some things about what's going on. April the 5th will be the annual Easter egg hunt. Bring individually wrapped candies or stuffed Easter eggs between now and next Wednesday, April the 1st, so that they can make sure that there's enough eggs to hide for everybody. All right, next Wednesday is brown bag supper night, so bring your brown bag and come eat with us. April the 11th, which is a Saturday, there'll be a congregational breakfast here at 9 o'clock. Plan on joining us for breakfast. There's no charge for that. There'll be sign-up sheets that will be available on Sunday for you to sign up for that. As you can see, Greenhouse is getting ready for a play, and they are inviting us to join them to see the performance of Peter Pan this weekend. You're invited to the 4:30 Saturday performance. If you have any questions, ask my wife. She can tell you. I think it's going to be at the Performing Arts Center, but I wouldn't swear to that. Huh? Oh, it's here. Okay, that's what all this stuff is for. Okay. I thought I heard you say something about the Performing Arts Center today. So, what do I know? All right. That's all I have. Anybody got any questions? No. What?